Greene says her life could be in danger because of the rhetoric.
Her life is in danger? Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
He's a full-grown man answering questions. Marjorie Taylor Greene. God, are you a little boy? Are you a little boy? But of course, he is being super immature and unserious, but about something that is serious, because Donald Trump does not just have the hypothetical capacity to inspire death threats against people. He's done it many times before. He knows he's done that. He knows the effect of the things that he says. And while I'm hardly Marjorie Greene's biggest fan or anything, I don't want her to be wiped out by one of his MAGA supporters with too many guns and way too much faith in Donald Trump. And we might be moving in that direction, because Marjorie Greene is now doing a 60 Minutes interview, and she explains she has gotten a boatload of death threats that very specifically can be traced back to the sort of video that we just showed you. She said, after President Trump called me a traitor, I got a pipe bomb threat on my house. And then I got several direct death threats on my son, which is highly, I knew hypothetically she had kids. Who even knows her individual kids? But this is the level of involvement that these insane people get, okay? They get fired up by the president, they start looking into it, they wanna dox people, they wanna do the threats. She says, or Leslie Stahl says to her, you say the president put your life in danger. You blame him. You say he fueled a hotbed of threats against me, and that you blame him for the threats against your son. The subject line for the direct death threats against my son, Marjorie says, was his words, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Those are death threats directly fueled by President Trump. No, look, there's the very small chance that some fan of Trump, a MAGA person, is as dumb, as immature as Donald Trump. I find that easy to believe, but it is the exact same thing that he was calling her. And just the fact that this could happen, and he doesn't have to apologize publicly or even privately to her, because she did reach out to both the president and the vice president. JD Vance apparently said he would look into the matter. I can't wait to see what he makes of it. And Trump responded with something that was, in Marjorie's words, it wasn't very nice. Greene added a moment later, after Stahl pressed her for details, that what president said was extremely unkind. So he does all this stuff, attacks against her. She reaches out and says, hey, me and my son are getting like lots of death threats. Something like 700 death threats. Could you like pump the brakes a bit? And he attacked her in private. I mean, this is absolute madness. Doesn't appear to bother anyone in MAGA that he's doing this. And he doesn't even have to do it in private. This is what he posted on True Social today, by the way, just this morning. He says, the only reason Marjorie Taylor Greene turns brown under stress, he's still trying to make that a thing. It's literally the worst branding he's ever done. Went bad is that she was jilted by the president of the United States. Certainly not the first time she's been jilted. You see what he's doing there? We'll pause. So he's implying that a man rejected her in terms of relationship or sexually. It's happened before, I guess. He says, the president of the United States says about a congresswoman, she's been jilted. But he just said that he jilted her. His metaphor is a sexual rejection. This is a thing that's happening. This is real. We're not making this up. This is not AI. This is a real thing that's happening and developing like an hour ago. Okay, too much work, not enough time, and now her ideas are now really bad. She sort of reminds me of a capital R rotten apple. Marjorie is not America First or MAGA because nobody could have changed her views so fast, and her new views are those of a very dumb person. And then it goes through a whole bunch of stuff. I don't even want to recount all of it about Hunter Biden and about Russia. And she's a low IQ traitor. Okay, then it goes into Paramount, and Trump is doing all of it. He's the president of the United States, and he's talking about all of this stuff. So then 60 Minutes is worse because they bought it or something. Oh well, far worse things can happen. I guess he's gonna hit them again in some way. You know, the media needs to be cowed by the president yet again. I hereby demand a complete and total apology, though far too late to be meaningful, from Leslie Stahl in 60 Minutes for incorrect and capital L libelous statements about Hunter's laptop, President DJT. And look, I'm gonna go to you in a second, JR. A lot of people will be like, this is a stupid distraction. And I'm sure that that is the case on some level. But, and this is the important part, he wants you to think about this sort of thing, okay, rather than whatever stuff, other stuff. And we'll get to it. We're gonna talk about DHS later. We're gonna talk about all that stuff. We're gonna talk about the economy. But I just wanna be clear. This isn't working for him. It's one thing to point out it's a distraction. You're not wrong to do so. But it's not a helpful distraction. His polling continues to go down. He's had this feud. All of these distractions, JR, don't work anymore. And that's what I keep trying to point out to people. He used to be so much better at the branding, about the control of the narrative, all of this stuff. He's not anymore. He's terrible at it. He just doesn't have the spark or the functioning brain anymore. Jared, what do you make of it?
Well, yeah, maybe the problem with why these distractions don't work is because usually when you say you get distracted from something like their mass cover-up of the Epstein situation and the potential listings of him and the nefarious activities that he potentially took part in, as they cover that up, what they distract you with to take your mind off of that is something like going to war with Venezuela. It's like another bad thing. And then they want to distract you from that. They're talking about bombing boats in the Caribbean. Another distraction from that is ignoring court orders and deporting people that are American citizens. All this bad stuff. So from one bad thing to get distracted from, you get distracted to the next thing. Like, oh, okay, well, let's talk about that now then. So every other day, there's a new distraction from a really bad thing. Now, with Marjorie Taylor Greene here, she's understanding what it seems like to be, the target of Donald Trump and his death threats amongst his foot soldiers that she was a part of helping build up, which I know you're gonna get to in a second as well too. But was she speaking out? And this is not a question to make the point necessarily, although I have my assumptions. Was she speaking out when those 6 Democrats came forward and said that military personnel should not follow unlawful orders from a president? That is right when they were following unlawful orders from a president. Did she speak out then when they got all those death threats? Because they posted their death threats. Mark Kelly posted his death threats. Someone else posted their death threats, explicit, disgusting death threats. Does she speak out then, or does she only speak out when she's getting death threats? Because now she feels it. Is this promotional for her, or is this about her actually being upset about this? Does she want this to stop? And if she wants it to stop, when is she gonna join on with a few folks who actually wanna say, do this small thing like, submit articles of impeachment for the guy who wants you dead? The guy who's trying to weaponize and deputize his foot soldiers to come and kill you. The one who's now people are targeting your family and your children. Are your children important enough to you to do something about this? Or are you just gonna, bow out of Congress and say that you did all that you could? I'm trying to figure out when she's gonna do something.
I love that no matter how like hesitant I am to give her any credit or whatever, and I want to point out the terrible thing she's done, Jared can always kick it into another gear. He's not gonna be buying literally any of it. And you know what, JR, you're right not to. Yeah, I don't know if she did say anything in defense of those 6 Democrats who not only received death threats, which she had already at this point, so she should be empathetic about that, but also those Democrats were proven totally right in their concerns about the illegal orders because of course of all the bombing stuff that we've learned about. Did she say something on Twitter about it? I don't know. I spent a few days in the woods. Maybe she did, but I haven't seen anything from her about it. And so you're right to point that out.
You know what TYT has always been about? Taking on the corrupt, greedy establishment. For us, it's the corporate media. We've been fighting that fight for over 20 years. For the cell phone industry, it's the same story. A handful of massive corporations ripping you off. That's why we're partnering with Noble Mobile. They're the only wireless company with the same mission as ours, to fight back. Their Noble plan offers unlimited data for just $50 a month. But here's the best part. For any data that you don't use, you get cash back. Real money you can spend however you want. Stop letting your unused data pad the pockets of billionaires. With Noble, you take control over your data. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT in our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan.